Hello, friends. Stolen cousins. Mm, mm, mm. All right, let's get back into it. You already know what time it is. Horror animations. Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna be doing some SSG. I feel like he's a little creepier than the IMR that we be watching. Three true dentist horror stories. Like what? Let's see what can go wrong at the dentist. I hope this is not doing this throughout this thing. Because why is it doing this?
My name is Hazel, and I'm a second grade teacher. I always hear kids screaming in excitement every time they get a visit from the Tooth Fairy. I would see them smile from ear to ear with happiness, and it would instantly take me back to my experience with the Tooth Fairy, to the night when he almost killed me. My stepdad.
What? Not the Tooth Fairy out here almost killing folk in the first 30 seconds? All right, y'all like, comment, and subscribe because this is getting juicy.
Kenneth Carter was an amazing person with a great personality, which was odd in his profession, as he was a dentist, and they were stereotypically known to be mean and scary people. My mom met him when she went on a healthy eating bender, as both of them shared a passion for a healthy lifestyle. They were always talking about eating healthy and getting enough nutrients. And I remember every time I drank milk as a kid, my stepdad would always say,
"Make sure you get enough of that calcium, honey. Remember, there's nothing more important than that sweet, sweet calcium."
But even with all that, he always had a great sense of humor, and he was nice to be around. Now, having a dentist as a stepdad meant my oral hygiene was in pristine condition, as he literally took care of my teeth himself and made sure I exercised all the right brushing habits. But I was 8 at the time, and my teeth had started to fall out regardless of my good oral hygiene. My stepdad, Kenneth, was always there telling me nice things about how they would grow back all healthy and strong. And while that was nice and all, at my age, all I really cared about was the visit I was going to get from the Tooth Fairy. I remember keeping my tooth under my pillow that night. And even though my stepdad knew the Tooth Fairy wasn't real, he didn't tell me. And that kept the magic alive. I woke up abruptly that night, and I remember hearing weird and disturbing crunching sounds. It was really dark, but I looked up to see the silhouette of a huge figure looming over me.
Is it not just your stepdad?
I was too scared to move, so I closed my eyes tightly and hoped that whoever it was would just go away. The crunching sounds continued for a while before they stopped, and once they did, I immediately forced myself to sleep, hoping that everything that just happened was a bad dream. The next morning, I looked under my pillow to see $500, which is like $1 million in my 8-year-old mind. I remember running downstairs shouting, "Mommy, Mommy, look what the Tooth Fairy left me!" And the shocked look on her face when she saw the $500 bills in my hand. She then turned to look at Kenneth, my stepdad, and said, "That's a bit too much, but I'll be sure to tell the Tooth Fairy thank you next time I see her." At the time, I didn't understand what was going on, as I didn't know it was my stepdad who'd put the money under my pillow. I remember looking at him, and he was intensely staring at me like I was food. I was a little creeped out, but I didn't question it, as I was a bit more concerned with the insane amount of money I had just gotten. And to be honest, I was so excited about it that I had entirely forgotten the weird occurrence that happened the night before. I went to tell him the same thing I told my mom, and he looked at me with a dark smile and said calmly,
"That's great. Hopefully, the Tooth Fairy comes again soon."
Now, the following months were weird, as my stepdad's personality had completely changed. The man who I had known to be funny and caring was now silent and distant, and he kept staring at me with a wanting look in his eyes for weeks on end. But my mother was just too busy to notice. I remember one afternoon, I was standing behind the living room door, and I was singing a rhyme. but my mother was just too busy to notice.
The night I felt uneasy and scared as my mind began to wander. I began to ask myself why my stepdad would want to hurt me on purpose. I remember putting my teeth under my pillow before trying to sleep, but I couldn't as I still felt uneasy, and that's when I heard someone come into my room. I immediately knew it wasn't the tooth fairy, as I could clearly see the shape of the man walking through the door. I felt hands rustle under my pillow, followed by horrid crunching sounds. I was completely terrified when I knew I had to rush. I knew I had to run, so I screamed in hopes my parents would hear, and I ran to get.
I remember one afternoon, my mother was me with a wanting look in his eyes for weeks on end. But my mother was just too busy to notice. I remember one afternoon, I was standing behind the living room door, and I was singing a rhyme I had learned in school that week. And while I was singing, I remember my stepdad just sitting on the couch, staring at me. It'd become a normal thing now, so I had learned to ignore it. He stared at me for a while before saying,
"There's something I need to do, Hazel. I'll be right back."
He then proceeded to go out through the back door. Now, I didn't pay any attention to what he said, as I just kept singing my rhyme, and that was when I felt the full force of the door slam into my face. I could feel my lip bleeding as my stepfather, Kenneth, who was now standing behind the front door, standing over me, saying,
"Oh my God, Hazel. I didn't know you were there. Are you all right?
What?
Did you lose a tooth?"
What the what? Did she lose a tooth? Is her nose and lip okay? She's gushing, bro.
He asked the latter question with more curiosity than the first, as if he was more concerned about me losing a tooth than my well-being.
Creep ass weirdo.
As I sat on the floor holding my bleeding lip, I sensed something was terribly wrong, as I knew my stepfather, Kenneth, was completely aware I was singing my rhyme behind the front door.
Exactly.
And I became really frightened, as something told me he had done this on purpose.
He did.
What was even weirder was that he was now intensely staring at the floor, and when I traced his eyes to see what he was looking at, I noticed he was staring directly at the place where 2 of my bloody teeth were lying. Then he looked at me and said,
"Now, we don't have to tell Mom about this, but on the bright side, the tooth fairy gets to see you tonight."
I lied to my mom that day, as I told her I fell.
What?
I knew she didn't believe me, but she didn't pry. That night, I felt uneasy and scared as my mind began to wander. I began to ask myself why my stepdad would want to hurt me on purpose. I remember putting my teeth under my pillow before trying to sleep, but I couldn't, as I still felt uneasy, and that's when I heard someone come into my room. I immediately knew it wasn't the tooth fairy, as I could clearly see the shape of a man walking through the door.
That's your bald-headed ass
I felt hands
stepdaddy.
rustle under my pillow, followed by horrid crunching sounds.
Is he eating them?
But I knew I had to run, so I screamed in hopes my parents would hear, and I ran to get the lights. Once I put them on, the sight I saw horrified me to the bone. My stepdad was standing next to my bed. He was smiling ecstatically, which revealed his bloody mouth. As I saw him chomping down on what seemed to be teeth, it was obvious he was in pain, despite the sick smile he had on his face, as I could see his gums bleeding the more he chomped down on my hard tooth. He couldn't break them, so he just stood there continuously biting down and hurting himself. He then looked at me and spoke.
"Don't get scared, child. I just needed that delicious calcium boost.
What
It's
the
wonderful."
fuck, bro?
He said excitedly with his bloody mouth.
I don't know why they are so good. They don't taste like my patient's teeth. They taste simply divine. Maybe it's because I took care of them myself.
He then swallowed before he began to walk towards me.
Now don't
Where's
scream,
Mom?
Hazel. I just need more of that calcium.
Where's Mom?
I really can't wait any longer.
Where's Mom?
And before I could move, he punched me hard in the
Oh
mouth,
my
and I began
God!
to bleed.
Did you lose a tooth?
Looking at me with true curiosity and excitement, I began to scream as he hit me hard on my jaw again.
Oh my
This
God!
time, I tasted blood in my mouth as I spat out a tooth. No words could describe the complete look of joy on his face. I was in severe pain as I watched him rush the bloody tooth like an animal. At the time, I didn't know or understand why he did what he did next, but as I grew older, I realized why he then proceeded to beat out all my teeth in order to satisfy his inhumane hunger. Up until this day, this is the
first story, y'all. No, like seriously, this is the first story. True story. Some little girl, well, probably grown-ass woman out there now, well, she is grown, but so probably old, had dealt with this dentist beating her teeth out to eat them. This is the first story, y'all. The first one. All right.
the only thing I can remember from my childhood, as the trauma was overwhelming. I couldn't scream anymore as my lips were swollen, and I watched him continually pound on my jaw. I tried hitting him, but what else could an 8-year-old girl do against the 36-year-old man? All my efforts were useless, and I began to feel the tears roll down my face. It didn't take long before my vision became blurry, and as I was about to pass out, my mom rushed into the room with a pan and immediately struck my stepfather on the head. As he fell to the floor, she quickly carried me and ran out of the house, and within minutes, we were surrounded by cops. I was taken to the hospital, and I was told I had been given severe head and lip damage due to the continuous blows to my mouth and my head. They told my mom that if she hadn't got there in time, I would have been beaten to death. They also told me my teeth would grow back since I was young, but I'd have to use braces as they were forcefully beaten out. The doctors then informed my mom I had to undergo serious therapy as I didn't speak or talk to anyone. Later that week, I saw my stepdad on the news. The headline read, "Local dentist confesses to eating the teeth of his patients." And it was revealed that my stepdad, Kenneth, was a dentist who ate the teeth he removed from his patients. It said he told the cops that as a dentist, it was the best calcium diet he could ever have, and he would do it again in a heartbeat. The reporter then revealed that he specifically said my teeth were the sweetest teeth he had ever tasted, as he took care of them since I was little, making them the best calcium diet. It's been 19 years since this happened, and my stepdad is still spending the rest of his life in prison for first-degree attempted murder. My mom never forgave herself for bringing him into our home, and to this day still blames herself for what I had to go through.
I would too.
I had intense therapy for the next 6 years of my life, and while I'm doing better now, I sometimes think about my stepfather, Kenneth, and wonder if he is slowly taking out the teeth of other prisoners to keep up with his pristine calcium diet.
I'm sure he's not. Nasty ass prison teeth. And his teeth probably fell out being in jail for 19 years.
Have you ever been to the dentist? As a child, everyone is afraid to go. Everyone thinks that dentists are cruel and sadistic people who want to hurt you. As you grow...
Comment down below. As a child, did you like the dentist or did you just like the dentist? I'll tell you a quick story. When I was younger, I was going to the dentist. I had a cavity, and they were trying to do something. I don't know. I was a crybaby, so I don't know why they kept my mom out of the room. But I was crying. Mom came in. Oh, no. They didn't keep her out of the room. My mom was there. So I was crying. And they were like, "You keep crying, we're going to kick your mom out." And my mom was like, "Ain't nobody going nowhere. not going to kick my daughter. I'm not going nowhere. So that probably, led me to just feel comfortable at the dentist because I knew that if my mom was there with me, then ain't nothing was going to happen to me. But I don't know. I've always loved the dentist. I love the dentist. I love clean teeth. I love the teeth whitening and everything. Like, I don't know. I just love the dentist. I always have.
Grow up, that fear goes away. We all realize that dentists do their best to take care of our teeth and that they will do their best to make sure we don't feel any pain.
Ooh.
The first time I went to the dentist, I was an adult, and I was no longer afraid. Maybe that's why I let my guard down. It was for that reason that I didn't see the signs that indicated that in front of me did not have a simple dentist, but a monster.
Damn.
It has been 20 years since the day I decided to go to the dentist for the first time. At that time, I was already 25 years old. I was afraid of the dentist, but at that time, I was more afraid of my cavities because I knew that if any of them got infected, the pain would be enormous. I made an appointment with the dentist my partner recommended. I knew I was in good hands since he had treated my girlfriend and her whole family. Surprisingly, I got my appointment much quicker than I thought I would, and on the day I was supposed to go, although no one will believe me, I was not afraid at all. I was even excited. On the day of the appointment, my girlfriend was supposed to come with me to meet the dentist, but she had a lot of work to do that day, so she couldn't come. I rang the doorbell, and almost instantly, the dentist's door opened.
At the house?
Behind it, a tall man opened it for me. I admit,
At a house?
I felt a little intimidated by him. He had a huge grin from ear to ear, and eyes that I felt were piercing me with their gaze. He was wearing a white doctor's coat that was clearly too small for him, and behind it, he was dressed in a casual manner, unusual for a dentist. Anyway,
No.
I decided to stop being so prejudiced, and after greeting him, I entered his office. Inside, everything was tidy, but I was
Office.
surprised to see no one else.
All right.
My girlfriend told me to say hello to the receptionist for her, but she was probably on vacation. Go straight to my office. There are no other patients, so I'll see you right away. Before that, could I ask you the price? I want to know if I will have to use the credit card. I don't remember. When we're done, I'll send a message to the receptionist.
I don't remember.
My girlfriend told me the receptionist was a man. Yes. She got kicked out. I see.
So you...
Too bad.
Like what? And you're about
Lay
to let
down
this
on that
man in
bed.
your mouth?
As I lay down on the bed, the dentist closed the door and locked it. I didn't understand why he would do that, but I guessed it was so that no one would disturb him.
Because he's
Stay
not
still.
the dentist.
I have to anesthetize you.
What?
But I haven't told you what I have yet. No need to. I can see your cavities from here. Without wasting a second, the doctor injected a syringe into my arm. I thought it would only be a local anesthesia. I didn't know they used anesthesia on the body. Please stop distracting me by asking me so many questions.
What?
Trust me. Yes, sir.
No.
I'm sorry.
Uh-uh.
After that, the doctor opened my mouth and looked it up and down. He didn't pay much attention to my cavities, and that scared me. Did I have another problem with my teeth?
What are you doing?
I thought about asking him, but I didn't want to break
What are
his
you doing?
concentration. After a few seconds,
Oh.
I began to feel very strange.
Uh-uh.
A strange sensation ran through my whole body. I tried to move my fingers, but I couldn't.
Oh,
Normally,
hell no.
I would think this was the most powerful anesthesia they'd ever used on me, but something was not right.
At all.
I could still feel my mouth. I could feel my whole body, but I couldn't move it.
Oh,
I
no.
tried to tell the doctor, but the words wouldn't come out of my mouth. Had I reacted badly to the anesthesia?
Oh, God.
If you're wondering why you can't move, it's because what I injected you with was not anesthesia. It was a paralytic. I need you to stay still so as not to interrupt the surgery. The doctor's words went through my whole body and gave me goosebumps. He didn't want me to move.
Oh, Lord. He's about
Why
to take
would
his
I
teeth
move?
out.
What I feel. Everything. As I'm sure you're imagining, I won't inject you with any kind of anesthesia. You must feel everything that will happen to you. You have to
Oh,
embrace
God.
the pain. It is the best way for you to take care of your body from now on.
What?
As he spoke, the doctor kept looking at my teeth, putting tweezers in and scraping them, just like any other dentist. Even though that was common procedure, I felt he was sloppy and somewhat violent. I felt he didn't know what he was doing. Well, I finished checking you over, son. Unfortunately, all your teeth are in bad shape.
Oh,
Some have
hell
cavities,
no.
some have tartar, and some are a little yellow. Unfortunately, I regret to inform you that I must remove all of your teeth. As soon as he said this, he grabbed some huge tweezers he had ready on a table.
Guys. Okay. I love my teeth. I love my teeth so much. I love them so much. I would be dead. I would die immediately. Okay. The hair on my arm is standing because, I am so okay. All right. Y'all ready? You ready? All right.
All the teeth? Grabbed some huge tweezers he had ready on a table.
Okay.
All the teeth?
Okay.
Was this some sick joke? Proving me wrong, he immediately jumped to one of my teeth and with his tweezers pulled it out of my mouth. The pain I felt was indescribable. A pain so strong and horrendous that I didn't even know it was possible to have without it driving me totally insane. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. I wanted to kick, but my body didn't respond. I'm sorry I have to take it out like this, but the faster the better, I guess. You know, kid, I'm not even a dentist, to be honest. As he was talking to me, he pulled out my second tooth. All I could do with my body was cry. I was at the mercy of this psychopath. Don't get me wrong. I always wanted to be a dentist, but studying is not for me. I tried to explain it to the receptionist when I applied for a job here, but she didn't understand me. That's why I killed her. After this confession, the man looked at me in a tetric way and turned to my next tooth. I could barely hear him. A part of me was about to lose consciousness, while another was struggling not to choke on my own blood. She's still here if you want to meet her.
No, I don't.
She's next to the dentist in the courtyard.
If you killed the dentist.
You can go to the same well as them. I'm sure I can make some more room. Enough talk, kid. You sure are about to faint. I'll inflict as much pain as I can before you die. As if true to his words, the man began to pull out as many teeth as he could as quickly as possible. Some of the teeth didn't even come out, but were left halfway through, stuck in my mouth by a piece. Some were directly broken off by the force of the man's tongs. The pain was so extreme that I was already out of my mind, totally bewildered, exhausted, and ready to die. Just because I had gone to get a cavity fixed. I stopped feeling the pain and began to see white. I felt a ringing in my ears and my eyebrows began to weigh me down. I was getting sleepier and sleepier. Before I closed my eyes, I saw that there were some men behind the fake dentist. They had uniforms and were pointing a gun at him. The dentist seemed to stay still. But suddenly he grabbed a pair of scissors and raised them at me.
You're gonna
Before
kill
I totally
me?
blacked out, I saw some lights come out of the cops' guns.
Oh my God! I would
anything.
have let him kill me. After that, the memory
When I
of
woke
that
up
pain.
a few days later, I was greeted by my girlfriend crying. I was in a
Bitch,
hospital.
it's your fault.
I was bewildered.
You
I
sent me
didn't
there.
understand anything that was happening, but I felt a horrible pain in my mouth. My girlfriend
How many
explained to
teeth
me
do you
what she
have?
knew, and between the doctor and some policemen who arrived later, they gave me the details.
Oh my God!
That man who treated me was not the dentist.
Obviously,
He came into the office looking for a job. He had no training whatsoever, and from what I could see on the cameras, he was totally insane. He murdered both the receptionist and the dentist in cold blood. He stole the man's robe and, after cleaning up the crime scene, attended to me. Luckily, some neighbors saw the bodies in the yard and called the police, who came as soon as possible.
Outside?
If that had not happened, I would not be alive today, telling this story.
Oh my God.
After what happened, I was rushed to the hospital.
How many teeth did
The
you
doctor
have?
told me that I almost didn't survive that night. That day, I lost more than half of my teeth. So in order to get my teeth back, they had to pull out my remaining teeth, and now I wear false teeth.
Damn.
Fortunately, today I'm more used to it. I don't have to go to the dentist anymore, but from that day on,
Damn.
I'm afraid of all doctors. Who knows? If I go in for a routine checkup, I might run into a psychopath who would try to cut out my heart.
He lost half of his teeth dealing with dude, and they had to take out the other half. He lost all of his teeth. Oh my God, I would die. This is crazy. Oh, I like this one. Oh, guys, this is the only one that got me like, ugh, because it's the dentist, bro. The dentist? Like, what?
People always laugh when I tell them I have sacrophobia. It's not a common phobia, so you probably haven't heard of it, but it's basically the fear of sweet things. Now, I know that sounds dumb, as why would someone be afraid of something as amazing as candy and chocolate? But after hearing about this gruesome experience, you too will think twice about shoving a piece of candy down your throat. I remember as a kid, I really loved sweets. I can't forget the first time I tasted a bright red lollipop, and to me, it tasted like the sweetest thing on earth. After that experience, I would hoard sweets in my mouth any chance I got. I literally became obsessed with them, as I'd take them after breakfast, after lunch, and after dinner. Even though I loved doing this, my mom wasn't too keen on it, as my oral hygiene was horrible, and that led to numerous dentist visits. Due to the excessive amount of sugar I was taking in, it didn't take long before my teeth started to hurt, and I eventually started going to the dentist regularly. I really hated going to the dentist, and it wasn't because I was scared of them, no. It was because of the way my dentist, Mr. Dorian, treated me. The first time I met him, I knew something was wrong, as he had a really weird aura. I remember telling my mom, I really don't want to do this. And she told me, well, if you didn't eat sweets all the time, Holly, we wouldn't have to be here. It didn't take long before Dr. Dorian walked up to me and my mom. I smiled at him, and when he saw my teeth, he looked at me with disgust. I didn't think much of it at first, but every time I went back, he always treated me the same way. He always had the same disgusted look on his face as he looked at me like I was a filthy thing and I irritated him. Dr. Dorian also seemed psychotic, as he usually had little tremors every time he saw my teeth. He would also say the weirdest things, as he used to tell me,
You don't deserve what you've been given. You treat your teeth horribly, and one of these days they will fall out.
Oh my God. Well,
I
that's
tried
true.
to tell my mom everything that was going on, but she just brushed them off, as she thought I was making them up to get out of going to the dentist. Every time I complained, she would respond with, Stop being difficult, Holly, and stop lying to me. If you don't want to go to the dentist, stop eating sweets. I wasn't ready to give up sweets, and while I hated Dr. Dorian, I didn't let him get to me as I kept eating whatever I wanted. As I grew older, things only got worse. I still didn't care what my mom or Dr. Dorian said, as I kept to my sugar-filled diet, and once I was able to, I began to dodge my dentist appointments. I remember my teeth getting so bad. They began to hurt, but I still didn't care, as all I wanted to do was just to eat more and more sweets. So I ate through the pain. Eventually, my mom found out, and she forced me to go to Dr. Dorian.
That's crazy.
She dropped me off herself that day, and I remember screaming at her on the way there as I told her, There's something wrong with him, Mom. Can you please listen to me? But all my pleas fell on deaf ears as she still dropped me off. I remember going into Dr. Dorian's office, and it was awfully quiet as no other people were there. I walked in to see Mr. Dorian standing in the middle of the room, waiting for me. As soon as I saw him, I knew something was wrong. Because remember how I said earlier that he always looked irritated every time he saw me? This time, he was eerily calm. Dr. Dorian then told me in a calm voice,
You arrogant, unfixable child. You have no idea what you have. Not all of us are as lucky as you to have a complete set of teeth. And seeing as you don't care about them,
do you not have
I will take them away
teeth
from
or
you.
something? What?
I was taken aback and freaked out by the statement. And as I started to say, "What do you mean?" he lunged at me.
Oh!
Before I could move, his hands were around my throat.
You
He
jumped
violently threw me into a chair, and my head hit something hard. I was paralyzed for a few seconds as I watched him strap my hands down before prying my mouth open with the mouth prop.
Oh!
I tried screaming, but with my mouth pried open with the mouth prop, I couldn't really make much sound. I watched him get out a hammer and a chisel that was wrapped in a bloody cloth.
Oh my God!
I remember him walking up to me and placing the chisel at the base of my incisors. He then screamed the words,
Say goodbye to your precious teeth.
and as the hammer connected to the base of the chisel, I felt immeasurable pain ripple through my jaw. I screamed as I felt a tooth roll down my tongue and into my throat. Dr. Dorian, who now had a psychotic look in his eyes, kept screaming the words.
Do you now understand what you had? Do you now see what you should have done?
She sees!
But on the bright side,
Let her go!
you can now have all the candy you want, you greedy child.
Oh!
As he hammered down again, I began to choke and writhe in pain as he whispered into my ear.
A toothless life is a painful life, and you'll soon experience that, my sweet Holly.
Oh my God.
My gums, my head, and every part of my body hurt.
Oh.
I could feel my mouth and my jaw throb in immense pain. But even through all this, all that was going through my mind were the words, I really don't want to die. I started to frantically look around for something.
Where's her
Anything
mom?
I could use to get myself free. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw some sharp dentist tools on a platter that was right next to the chair I was tied to. Instinctively, I reached out to it, but my hands were still restrained. I knew that if I didn't do something, this psychopathic dentist would kill me by morbidly breaking all my teeth out. So I began to profusely pull at my restraints. It really hurt to struggle, but I continued to pull, and soon enough, I heard a little pop sound as I felt waves of pain ripple through my body. I had twisted my wrist, but I was free. And without thinking, I grabbed what seemed to be a scaler, and as he was about to use the hammer again, I shoved the tool deep into his neck.
Oh.
I can never forget the look in his eyes as I stabbed him. It didn't take long before he slumped to the floor, and I hurriedly began to free myself. As soon as I was free, I ran out of the and I didn't stop till I was very far from it. I then started to search my pockets for my phone, and once I found it, I immediately called my mom.
Oh, she
Trying to
left
speak
you
hurt,
at
as
the
without most of my
dentist?
teeth, the only thing that came out of my mouth was gibberish.
Oh,
But I
my
managed to
God.
mumble some words, and she finally understood that I was in trouble. It didn't take long before my mom came. She arrived with the cops, and the last thing I remember before passing out was my mom hugging me. The following weeks after that incident were the most horrible weeks of my life. I was given dental implants to replace the teeth I had lost, and after a while, when I could finally speak, the cops came to ask me some questions about the incident. While telling them what had happened, I began to relive the horrible memories, and it didn't take long before I broke down. I remember my mom holding my hand and telling me, "It's going to be okay." After putting myself together, I eventually told them everything that happened. When I was done relaying the incident, I was curious as to what Dr. Dorian had against me, so I remember asking them, Do you guys know why he did this to me? The cops then proceeded to tell me all they had found out about Dr. Dorian throughout their investigation, as they said,
Miss Files stated he had periodontitis. It's also known as periodontal disease or gum disease. It's a terrible disease that causes all your teeth to fall out. Apparently, he had gotten it at a very young age, which led him to lose all his teeth, as he too had dental implants. Apparently, that's why he devoted his life to being a dentist and taking care of other people's teeth. But due to the severe trauma of losing his teeth as a child, he developed some severe mental issues, which led him to go overboard with the obsession of preserving teeth.
As they spoke, things began to click in my head.
Like, that
as I
really got
finally
nothing to do with
understood
me, for
why
real.
Dr. Dorian acted that way whenever he saw my teeth, and why he was so adamant on fixing my bad oral hygiene. I also realized that he saw me as a spoiled and greedy kid, and even though I was, there was no excuse for what he did to me. The officer then continued with,
His clinic has been closed down so that no one would ever experience what you went through.
I then asked the cops, and what about Dr. Dorian? Is he all right?
Jail.
They didn't
Oh,
answer my
dead?
question, as they just stood up to leave. I tried to pry, but my mom held my hand and told me not to persist. Till today, I still don't know whether I killed him or if he's still alive, and in any way, I prefer that as the uncertainty let me keep a bit of my sanity. It's been 7 years since this incident, and I haven't eaten any sweet treats like candy or chocolate ever since. To be honest, it's not that I don't want to, but every time I try to, I'm taken back there, to the day my teeth were forcefully taken from me, and that always leaves a bitter taste in my mouth, a taste I know I'll keep for the rest of my life.
Oh, guys, this one was crazy. The dentist, bro. The dentist. I can't imagine having to deal with my teeth. Y'all see those good chompers. Y'all see that? Good teeth. Like, oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, this was a good one. Bye. Have a great day. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment. Oh my god, I don't even know what to comment. Just comment how you feel after seeing these 3 crazy stories. All right? Bye. I love you guys. Thank you guys for joining me.